Hello there, and welcome back to Midlife Rises. I'm Cheryl. I didn't want any more time to go by. The last time we spoke, I was talking about the loss of my niece. Most of us are still going through the grieving process. It's just so many instances. We are in a very interesting time. And so today I'd like to talk about coping with losses, whether it's a friend, family member. It's all very, very painful. This year came in and it's doing some damage. It's been so far, and I don't even want to say so far, but it's been a good bit of losses. And it's not the ideal topic, but it's happening. And a lot of times, if things are happening around me, I'm going to talk about it. This thing was a serious pushdown. I usually refer to death as a thief in the night. But with this one, with my niece, it was not like a thief in the night. It was in the back end. It was always there. She had cancer, and it was a very aggressive one. And it's like the family was playing tug of war with this thing. She had some dips, but she was fighting. 3 years ago, my niece got married. We all went and celebrated it. And then she had a baby. She's now like 2 years of age. And when someone dies and they're in their 80s or 90s, it's painful, but it's a lot easier to deal with because that person lived their life. But when someone goes this young, I was able to go in the hospital and visit her, as I had mentioned. It was very, very painful. She suffered. She went through a lot, and she was fighting. But we lost the battle. We did the burial and so on, and it's just, when these things happen, it's almost like it's not even real. And it really hit, like my sons and, her age group, it really hit home. Because like I said, when someone is older, they've lived their lives, but they were watching their cousin and sister laying there at that age. And then her parents. It was a sad day. It was a very sad day. And, I'm still trying to get over my mom. And this came and happened, and it kind of pushed me back into that mode. But when death comes, it's a part of life. And depending on how it happened, like I went and found my mom's body. I've never held someone that passed away before, and I was going crazy. Like I was beating up her face, and it was like it wasn't even real, but it was happening. And I'm getting past that. Like I'm getting things done. I'm able to function, but in the back end, it helps. I go and I visit my mom's site, and it helps me to, just go where I saw they put her to rest. And I know it just does something. It helps me to cope. We're all like avatars. This is a temple that we're in. And it's just when you look at someone laying there, and that you will never see that person again, it takes a mindset. And I don't even want to try to understand what her parents are going through. Losing a child. And it's so many different instances that's happening. 2 people that I worked with, one was sitting on her bed and she had a stroke apparently, and she was like by herself within that time frame, 2 days. So she never came to, and she just recently passed away. Her family, they're dealing with that. And then another client, I'd call him, I'd say, so how are you doing? And he'd go, I'm good, I'm above ground. And I was calling to wish him happy holidays. And for some reason, I suspected that was what was going on, because I wasn't getting him. And I called his daughter and I wasn't reaching her. And finally, she reached out to me this week. I cried like a baby. I just was so emotional over this thing. I didn't get to go and pay my respects, but I remembered, when I called him, I'd say, how are you? How are you doing? And he'd say, I'm good, I'm above ground. I believe she said he was 94. That's decent. I mean, he had a full life. It doesn't make it any easier, but we know that the person had a full life. I don't want to think of what his daughter is feeling, because when my dad passed away, he was 88, and it's the way it happened too. Death is part of life. We're supposed to be receptive, when it takes place. What else can we do, right? But it's a mindset. It's a frame of mind that we have to be in. In the instances where it's an older person, like my mom, she was telling me, I had a good time. And so I was able to revert back to that. And that sort of helped me. Sort of. But for someone to be gone, to lose their lives, to battle the way we saw her struggling at that age, and she went through so much with this thing before it took her, and everything just started not functioning, to the point where she is actually better off, because her body just betrayed her in such a way that she was not able to live in it anymore. So that gives us a peace of mind, but to know that you'll never see that person again, and then leaving a 2-year-old, it's just heartbreaking. But I wanted to just reach out. I'm still going through the moments. I wanted to reach out and just touch base with this a little bit, because I'm going through the grieving process and I'm coping with it, because that's what we're supposed to do. But it's not easy. When you lose someone, even like my friend, the woman who passed away, who had the stroke, we weren't on good terms. We weren't really talking. But when I learned about that, it's sickness. So I went to the hospital to visit her. She didn't know I was there. I don't believe she knew I was there. But I just went to see what was going on and to give her support. That was a very sad situation, because this thing happened and she didn't get rushed to the hospital in time. It did some damage where she was not going to recover from that. She was going to be disabled. I was telling her son that she had something on her hand. She was actually trying to remove herself from the machine. I'm talking about someone that was well in her 80s, but downloaded her own software, was running a real estate office. I mean, she was like Superwoman. to be able to reason with how things can flip, yeah, it takes a mindset. And I'm very open-minded. I talk about my psychology background. I talk about being able to control your emotions, but we're dealing with something on another level here. When you start talking about transitioning, leaving, just lost my aunt. She was my uncle's ex-wife. So she is sort of like my aunt. And she was, I think like 91, but she just passed away. And it's the coping, the reasoning in my niece's situation. I had a few emotional tailspins with that one because I cannot wrap my head around what happened there. Why did she get this thing, and one where it kept deceiving her? She was not able to survive it. When I say a tug of war, that's what it was like. I mean, she was in ICU, she came out, her kidney started acting up, she was doing dialysis, then she stopped, and everything was functioning. I went on my trip in December, I came back, I went and bought up some stuff in the health food store, and the mom made me to understand she took 10 steps back, and it doesn't look good. And next thing you know, they were talking hospice, and in 3 days' time, she was gone. Yeah, we have to be able to look at this and then turn around and go about life as normal. That is not an easy thing to do. But you have to allow yourself to do the grieving process. You have to take that time and grieve. There's no way around it. I mean, my mom, it's going to be 4 years, and I sort of went into hermit mode when it happened. Like, I spent a lot of time by myself just going over what I saw, because when you see these things, it's like it's not even real, But we have to be able to cope, to be able to move on, not to ignore or pretend it didn't happen, because it did, but to be able to have that mindset that we have to survive. We've got to continue with our everyday lives and take it in spurts. Do your grieving in between, but try to do your functioning. And depending on where you're at with it, have therapy. There's nothing wrong with going and talking to someone professionally. I mean, if you don't have the support from family and friends, which in my case, there wasn't much of it. But I stay on praying ground, so that was my support mechanism, and I would always press that we need to have something that we believe in for these kinds of times, because this is no joke. It is no joke. It's like my dad used to say, serious business. Yeah, that thing is, it's not easy. Any way you cut it, it is not easy. You just have to find your path and work with it. Stay on praying grounds, because you're going to need that support. You're going to need that. There are no ifs and buts about it. We're dealing with something now that is totally out of our understanding. And so you have to be able to reach out to the divine, the universe, however you want to refer to it as. You've got to have that rock. Because when my mom passed away, that was my foundation. And my dad did it the year before. Unexpectedly, he wasn't sick. I got a call from a stranger. That is how I learned that my dad passed away. So there are no words. It's just to go with the flow and take it one day at a time. And as my mom used to say, time heals all wounds. And that's a fact. We seem to be having a lot of instances on this thing. But when your turn comes around, just know that you've got the support, whether you know it or not. Even if you don't have it, friends and family members, you do have someone watching over you. So just lean on that and take it one day at a time. When my mom passed, I was literally coming apart. I just couldn't reason with it. I wasn't able to understand. And there were certain things that happened leading up to that time that was a little disturbing. But at the time, I had a client that was like a pastor. And, she helped me with certain things. And I had a Jewish client. I'm going to share what he said to me. He told me, he said, Cheryl, I don't know what your beliefs are, but when we're born, our name is in a book on exactly what day we're going to leave. So it's not sporadic. It is not something that just happens. When we leave, it's because it was set for that time. I have an aunt right now in Trinidad. I remember my dad not making fun, but he was saying, every time he calls, she's asking for God to take her, and because she's bedbound and there are all kinds of issues. But she has her hubby and he's there, giving her the support, but she doesn't want to live that way. But it's not her decision on when she's going to leave here. So he wound up passing away before her. And I spoke to her today, just telling her about the instances that's happening, and to just, for whatever it's worth, be grateful, just take it one day at a time. And I didn't say wait for your turn, but I was pretty much telling her, just take it one day at a time. And be grateful that you have your husband there to help. Just work with what you have. What do you say to someone in that condition? She's been asking to leave for quite some time now. But it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. But with my niece, I'm never going to understand that. Her baby kept going up to her and saying, Mommy's sleeping. It was just so heartbreaking. It was just a day. So I didn't mean to stay away that long, but this is what I'm coping with, and I wanted to share it because if there is someone that is having that experience right now, take your time and grieve. Try to get some understanding. Surrender it. Don't forget to pray, because nothing happens without that. That is the source to our existence. I said that we are like avatars. That's pretty much it. Because when we pass away, they'll say the body. They wouldn't say the person's name. They'll say the body. Where is the body? So this is way past our understanding, as I mentioned before. But it's not to have any fear, because there is, as I understand it, there is life after death. And our loved ones, they do come in our dreams. We are spiritual beings. That is how we really move around. So it's just to be able to cope with this thing. We're all spiritual beings. When we transition, we leave our bodies, but we are still alive, as I understand it. There is life after death. We don't know exactly what happens, but we know that there is life after death. So it's just a time, a very interesting time right now. But in the midst of it all, we're still here and life goes on. You know, we go through the grieving process, but we still have to continue on. And that person would want for you to do that, whether it's a partner, family member, friend. They would want to know that you are continuing on with your life as normal, for whatever that's worth. I was trying to cope with the loss of my niece, and it's just this one and that one, and it's like three. It takes a mindset, but we have to leave an open mind that this is part of life. I periodically talk about the loss of my mom, and in my mind, I'm getting past it. But my uncle's ex-wife, I went to the funeral. As soon as I got in there, I looked at my cousins' faces, and I don't know what happened, but I just started grasping for air, like having trouble breathing, right in front of everyone. I am guessing what happened, because I was talking to, my niece's mom. She's a nurse, and she's saying that it was post-traumatic stress. She's saying that happened because it brought back the memories from, my mom. Now, this was almost 4 years. I mean, it will be 4 years. And it just came right back like it was that day. I would guess that I'm healed because, I'm going through the regular, I'm functioning, but it's still in the back end. Losing a parent, losing anyone for that matter, but your mom, that's serious stuff. The loss of my dad, I feel it, but I didn't really see him. It was a closed casket, and he doesn't live in the States. So I guess I don't have full closure on that, but with my mother, yeah, I found her body. So it has been a very interesting new year, and I'm sure it will get better. But what I want to say is, we as humans, we have a way of bouncing back. We adapt. It takes a while, but it does balance itself out. It never, as I'm seeing now, that feeling, I don't think it ever goes away. But we do get the strength to go on. And that is why it's important to have something you believe in, because then you can tap into that source. You've got to have that rock for times like these, because it is not easy. I am not going to sit here and tell you that coping with the loss is easy. Even when it's just a friend, it is not something that you're able to just get past. You've got to go through the grieving process. However, which way works for you, you have to do it. And like I said, it's been 4 years, and with my dad, it's 5. I try to go and visit my mom's grave periodically. I go and I talk about things that's bothering me, just as if she was here. And that helps. With my dad, he was buried in my country. So I don't really get to connect like that. But your parents, your loved ones, friends, when you have these losses, they're in your heart. They're in your heart. And the memories, it doesn't go anywhere. It lives on. And you can lean on that. But the death thing, it is not easy, and it's part of life. There is no getting around the grieving process. It is very painful. I am not going to sit here and lie to you about that. My niece, I went and I visited her grave because she's in the same area that they put my mom. And I was able to go over. I'm seeing her name, and it is like it's not real. It's a mindset. It really is a mindset that we have to be in, and it's accepting, having acceptance that this is a part of life. We can't change it. We just have to learn to cope. Because we are adaptive, we are able to just not so much move on, but to carry on. That's the word I want to use. It's not easy though. It is not easy. That death thing is, it's still early in the year, and I'm sure that we all have brighter days ahead. I hope that the new year is showing you better things. But in the event you're having this situation, just take it one day at a time. That's all you can do. I apologize for my voice at this point. I'm exhausted. But I wanted to just come on and talk a little, because it's been a while just going through the grieving process and watching life and just trying to make sense of it, trying to reason. There are a lot of things that's not very clear, but it is what it is. Coming up to the daylight saving soon, that's always a good thing. It makes the day longer, and it does something to the mind, the spirit. Spring is right around the corner, which I absolutely love. The days are longer, and you just seem to get a lot more done because the sun is out a lot longer. So we are still new in the new year. Hopefully we'll all see brighter days. We come on every first and third Tuesday and Thursday of the month. When you can, sit in with us. Okay? And we'll see you next time. You take care now.